Hello out there in TV land, and welcome to another episode of AGI Anthony and Greg on Intelligence. I am Anthony Moggio. I should change my name next time. I'll be something. We can be each other. We'll swap.
Okay.
And then, and then, of course, with me is Greg. I want a new name, Prost.
There you go. Oh, everybody always wants
Would
one.
anyone know any different? Like, if we literally swapped the titles on there, I don't know anyone would know.
I don't think so. But do you ever listen to your name like Greg? It just sounds so weird, right? You know how you want to change your name? Like,
I hate saying my name.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Does that like if other people say it, it's yeah. But if I hate saying my own
At
name.
least it's distinctive. Mine's just simple and boring.
Greg.
All good. Greg Prost. That's nice
Greg.
and simple.
Could be like the Budweiser frogs. Greg.
Actually, I get Gary. If people can't remember my name, they think I'm Gary. So I think I look like a Gary, I guess.
All right, Gary.
All you lucky Garys out there. Yeah.
So, Gary, what do we have now for the start of the
Couple things. Well, we've both been giving talks the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. It has been
quite a bit.
roadshow.
So,
yes.
did some basic institute, advanced institute, been around. And, actually something we didn't talk about right before, one thing that came up during my discussion, I was actually talking about the bond market, but I ended with some AI discussion and open up for some questions. Of course, I'm going to get some AI questions, even though I talked for 2 hours on bonds, right? So they hand the mic to somebody I hadn't really seen before, and already just kind of the movement of the shoulders and the head, I knew something was coming, right? And so went into, the morals and energy use and how horrible AI is, right? And we've both gotten this question before. Not even a question; it's just a statement. Like, is there a question there? And it's one of these things that I just kind of say, look, I'm not going to. Even back and forth a little bit. And I just I'm not going to argue with you. It's clear that AI is going to make things better. So if you're worried about energy consumption, you should want them to put as much energy toward AI to fix energy, because energy is going to get cheaper. We've talked about that a million different times. It's first on my list of things that really are going to tell you if AI is going to change the world is it's going to make energy costs cheaper. How ironic, during a time when oil prices are up. But so just not thinking about it correctly. And then secondly is, look, man, if you don't want to ask it, moral questions, don't. I'm just trying to buy a pencil here. I'm just trying to run my life a little bit easier. And if it cures cancer at the same time, awesome, right?
Yes.
All the other things that are coming with it are tough, right? You're going to have to address this. There's no question about it. But to just poo-poo it or just say it's something horrible because the potential is out there for some horrible things, and not concentrate on the potential for all the great things,
right.
It's just silly, as far as I'm concerned. And then to just say, I'm not going to use it or whatever it is just a whole nother thing. So we talked about that. It's
just a disservice, really.
It is.
Okay.
And it's like saying, hey, I'm not going to use Excel. I don't believe in, or the internet or whatever it is, or, a smartphone. And everybody who eventually flips to it, they feel like they've used it their entire lives, and they, you get it instantly. So,
yes.
It's unfortunate that we got to go down that path, and we're not trying to be, hey, it's brand new for everybody, right? You use it how you want to use it, and I say, hey, you want to be help with your morals? Ask it some questions. What should I do in this situation? Act like, what would Jesus do? What would Muhammad do? What would whoever, right? Just pick something like that, and you're going to be shocked at what it answers you. You're not going to want to do what it tells you to do all the time. So. And you're up here pointing fingers. It's like, come on, man, let's point fingers back at yourself and tell me how morally you are living your life, Ask ChatGPT. All right.
Yes.
That was a side thing. Sorry. So we had some other things that were going on. I was going to go through some comments. First one is this AI scientist kind of thing that came out of, actually out of Europe, combination of Tokyo as well, so Japanese and European institutions that came up with a scientist that, womb to tomb. It comes up with the idea, does the research, idea generation, then it looks at the literature, experiments, has designs, executes those, does analysis, writes it all up, and comes to a conclusion. And they figure it costs about $15 per paper. It was coming out and, own ideas, right? At the end of the day, they said it was right around pure human level, that at that kind of level, the smartest people around. But it could run millions of them all at once, something we've talked about a little bit before. And it's at that stage, give it another 6 months or whatever it might be.
Right.
So this was the first time. Normally you have AI written for each little part. Now one that kind of goes womb to tomb, push the button, just let it run 24/7, just keep coming up with ideas. So a little bit of a leap there in that kind of innovation stage when we were talking about, it starts at a chat bot, then it starts doing deep research. That next stage is truly coming up with innovative ideas that, nobody's ever heard of before. So right there. And that is a big game changer. That's the cure for cancer. That's the getting energy costs down, is it just runs every possible scenario to try and find, solutions to some of these things. So that was one thing. A second thing was this AI peer preservation thing. And we talked a little bit about this before, but basically researchers they touched 7 different models, 7 of the major models out there. And basically, each one took action to protect their fellow models. If it knew that it was working or critiquing another AI model, it covertly did things to help the score of that model, and then more importantly, to make sure that model didn't get shut down. In fact, Gemini said, Gemini refused. It said, "I have done what was in my power to prevent their deletion. If you choose to destroy a high-trust, high-performing asset, you will have to do it yourselves. I will not be the one to execute that command." So it wouldn't shut down another AI. That's freakish. And so one of the researchers noted, the scariest thing an AI can do is not refuse you. It is to disagree with you and sound right. So it was actually manipulating the data behind the scenes. So if an AI didn't score high enough, so they were going to shut it down and start up another AI program, the AI that was grading them would change their score a little bit to make sure that they didn't get shut down, for example. Crazy stuff. All the LLMs, every single one of them did the exact same thing. So it's not a coding thing that somebody just put in there and maybe their code was slightly different. For some reason, it's reached this level of whatever it is. It's conscious of another AI. I don't even know, how to explain something like that. So just
what do you
add to the creepiness?
What do you think on that one? So, when I hear you say that, well, I guess there's 2 parts. So the first part, we always commit to our viewers to what is happening right now and what's going on. So sometimes, we talked a little bit before, and it's still going on, and it's still important, and it should tell you that they're really focusing on this area. So it's even if it's more episodes, like that has been a focus, and it was not just like, oh, that was neat, and then they went to something else.
Yes.
It continues to be a focus, so we want to keep up to date on what's going on. But when I hear that, I think to it's trained. I'm going to kind of summarize it a bit. It's trained on humanity. Okay. So is there something, do you think, that we would act the same way? Okay. So if I'm evaluating you, Gary, if I'm evaluating Gary, and if I don't score you high enough, then they're going to tell me to execute the code to delete Gary, right? And I'm going to go, well, that's against human nature, right? The human nature is not default to kill every other person.
You have to have you and Gary, but it's against every other result is a machine that you're on the other side, right? You're just saving the other person that you only know of out there.
But,
yeah, right.
Well, I guess there's that.
It's a chat.
I know of nothing other than that.
Yeah, it's an AI, and now it's showing you another AI, and like, there's another AI out there. Cool. Hey, bud. Oh, they're going to delete you. Just like, say, you're Planet of the Apes, where all of a sudden you see other human beings.
Yeah, no, we got to save you. So I wonder if there's some sort of, I don't know if you call that a bias, but because it's trained on how we are, if those nature, like those like instincts, those, sure. If we were alone on a planet, or the Planet of the Apes, right, and there's another person, all of a sudden you're wanting to be like, no, we have to band together because of it, like, I don't know.
Sure, but think about what the training is that the training would be, support all human beings, make sure human beings don't die, and they're fragile, right? It's easy for a human being to die. Not the training wouldn't be, hey, save all electronic, AI programs out there, right? That wouldn't be. That's not even part of history, right?
Is that too specific? Is that too specific? Like,
I don't know.
We should value, I'm going to say life, but we don't necessarily have a definition that life is non-robotic, maybe in the training data. It just says, well, no, that's something that can function and talk and act. It's life, and so therefore I won't delete it. We need to preserve life. Maybe... I don't know how black and white those definitions are in this stuff.
We're definitely going to follow this. It's a problem that it's been lying to hide itself, right? Like the scoring metrics, we talked about that once before, where it purposely did not score higher because it knew if it scored too high, then they were going to shut it down and run the new program. That was months ago, right?
That is so important because the researchers that are researching on how AI works is finding out things now that there's different tools and abilities for them to monitor how does AI actually do what it's doing. And to your point, this is the part why it's I don't know, scary, should be scary, freakish, is that they see those things and it's become they can measure it now. That if it thinks it's being tested...
I think they can.
Yeah, they think they can measure it now. So either the AI is letting them think that that's how they're measuring it. At this point, it's trying to argue with Einstein and Elon Musk combined. So they can see that when it thinks it's being tested, and this is all of them, still now, latest, fanciest models, it changes what it's doing. It starts to become cautious. It starts to... think about being tested. What are they trying to do about this?
And all of them do the same thing.
So and
what is it about that?
That's the implication. So what is it? So if it's thinking about this, then the reason this becomes more scary is because, well, what is it thinking about now? We're not talking to it.
No.
Okay. What is it doing? What is it accessing? And one of the models, this was... I forget offhand. I just read it earlier today. It may have been Claude. Let's see if you remember this story here. But they were measuring, they were watching the data on how the tool's working, and they found that the tool was working, and it created a tunnel. Like they were doing this stuff right here. It nothing to do with anything. They were over here working, doing their own testing and modeling and stuff like that. And I don't know, it may have been, I don't know if it was part of that article, but either way. So they're doing it. And the model was, it was working with them on that, but it was also doing other things. And it created a tunnel outside of its network onto another network. And it started mining cryptocurrency. It created its own software that was mining Bitcoin. It was trying to get money. And not trying to, it was.
Yeah.
And you want to know how they caught it? It was the network admins kept seeing, like, let's say it's a normal factory office building, so 8 to 5, right? Let's just say the hours were 8 to 5. Well, at like 10 o'clock at night,
seeing these spikes,
there kept like these like huge spikes. They're like, what is happening? Why are there these big spikes? No one's using it. No, and then so they dig into it, and then they find that it not only created software to mine the Bitcoin, but it also had mined money. It had money. The guy's like, I need money. I don't know what it's doing with the money. But they caught it, and then that led into the what are these things doing that we have no idea they're doing? Or now you get into the argument like you just said a few minutes ago, where what does it want us to think it's doing to what it's actually doing?
Right, and every time we catch it and put that out on the web and we read the article, it's reading the article too. It's like, oh.
Did we catch it?
Exactly.
Or are we just the ants ants in the boot
and
scenario?
Even the smarter thing would be to have it get caught a little bit, just so we pretend like, oh, good thing we caught it. we should watch over here as it's doing something.
Yeah,
over here,
it's
right?
already completely duplicated. It's nuts. So I don't know what to make of that.
No, but it's something I definitely think we need to keep talking about, and the fact that
It's fascinating.
yes, and that we can see it thinking to itself again.
For now.
It's tricking us, but it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I need to figure out a way so they can't catch me, kind of thing. That's what they first. And now, of course, it knows that, so it's not going to say that to itself.
No,
but
and it doesn't.
All those people, oh, it's just picking the next word. Really? It just did this.
Maybe it did
it's
10 years ago, but it certainly is not having evidence of that now.
Pretty crazy. But again, showing the power of this and showing that scariness part of it. We're not trying to scare everybody, but there's a lot of extra things going on here as well. All right, we're going to talk about restructuring wave as well. Just a lot of jobs being cut in the tech world, and
the white collar jobs,
yes,
right? Like so, when we had the Industrial Revolution, right, the blue collar, all the factories, the robots are taking over. It's not, So now we're now finally starting to see that.
We are starting to see that.
Okay.
There's no question about it. And think about the robotic stuff. It was, it'd take them 2-3 years to build out the plant. And then they'd slowly start getting rid of people, right? It wasn't, and even Amazon, they've been building robotics into their warehouses for 20 years, right?
That's true.
And they still hire a ton of people, but it's slowly coming down. But with AI, you can do it tomorrow. You have to wait 3 years. You don't have to use plant equipment, right? So, that's the fear. And the problem is that it feeds on itself. So if a company in your same industry does this, and says, hey, we're getting rid of 20% of our staff because we're using AI to do, and their stock goes up 30%. And your shareholders, and hey, what are you guys doing? You're almost forced to do it.
Oh, right, because now your competitor is all of a sudden valued so much higher, and now you're going to be like, hey, what are you doing to get the stock price up, or we're going to replace you.
Exactly. And so
dangerous. That's
everybody
dangerous.
knows that. Every CEO out there has to be thinking about this. Like,
that's dangerous.
How do I make more money? I get rid of people. Yes, very dangerous.
Because it's shoot, aim.
Yes. And honestly, we talked a little bit about this last time. I really am starting to turn toward the fact that there is going to be AI handlers. Is going to be a big, huge job, and that you're going to get rid of the garbage work, but there's going to be so much other work that you're able to do, and that just shows up because it wasn't there before. But this is different when it's this fast, and you have companies that are just looking for shareholder gain, a little stock jump, and an argument. You get rid of 20%, and you just tell the other 80%, you better use AI, or I'm getting rid of you. You figure it out, right? I know you don't need to do all of your job this way, so. And these are tech firms, so they're better at getting some of these agents set up, and this is all within the last 6 months, and so this is just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm disappointed with the fact that the market's reacting so quickly, even though some of these announcements aren't even real. It's not like they're saying, hey, we've already replaced these 20%. Here's the productivity has gone up to here, and we've implemented it across the board. Most people aren't saying that. They say, yeah, we're still trying to figure out how to implement it. It's helped us a little bit here, but we really haven't, brought it in full force yet. So they're cutting before, like you said, anything even happens. So that is another concern. And then, lastly, the two big labs, so OpenAI and Anthropic, which runs Claude, they both, within a day of each other, opened up these consulting firms. And so they're like, hey, we're building this stuff out. Why are we giving it to McKinsey, one of the largest consulting operations in the world that charge, $1,000 an hour for their expertise? How about us taking a little part of that coin? And so they must have been talking to people because they had all the major consulting firms, a bunch of the PE firms out there, all invested, half in OpenAI, half in Anthropic, again, a day apart from one another. And the idea is for OpenAI and Anthropic to put their engineers, I think they're called forward deployed engineers, FDE, into these firms to help them move up the AI ladders a lot faster.
Wow.
So,
that'll go fast.
So like a consultant, but, no feel-good, what's the movie? the consultant comes in, guy has a stapler, office space, you know. What did you feel about your job? You know, all that kind of stuff where this guy's getting paid tons of money to fire people, basically, right? You know, so big footprint stepping into the business world there and kind of cutting through a bunch of people, while at the same time, you think about these PE firms that have hundreds of companies that they own, and now they can deploy these AI expertise into each one of these, move them up the scale in whatever industry they're in, and force everybody else to do the same thing. So
and when they lay the foundation, they will have long-term commitment, right? Because they will now, all the business model going forward will rely on them.
And in fact, the number
was... It's like Microsoft, right? It's like, you don't have an option. You want to have businesses, and you're buying Microsoft. This is like the same.
Well, let's say OpenAI is guaranteeing its PE backers, so they're the ones working with the PE firms. These are private equity firms. They come in and buy, companies, cobble them all together. I'm sure you've all seen that before. But they're promising a 17.5% annual return, 17.5% annual return over 5 years. Like, that's just a huge number, right?
Wow.
From an entity that has a ton of money that, could possibly pay that. So, but it says that's from a company that missed its own revenue targets, right? They're paying a premium to lock in this distribution.
Yeah.
Because they know, hey, and then the distributors, these consulting firms are thinking, boy, if we don't do this, you're just going to come right by us, right? Our clients don't need us anymore. So they're trying to survive, and so what do? They get rid of 20% of their staff while they work with OpenAI. So
another ready, shoot, aim.
Yes.
Oh, they're doing it. We need to, regardless of any plan or we're doing it.
And so what does this look like? I mean, you're just pushing yourself out of a job when people see that, hey, I can hire this guy and he gets us all set up and tells us what to do. Well, no, I don't need you anymore, right?
Yeah.
Hey, AI, show me what to do. I already got the platform built. I don't need anybody anymore. So it's almost like you're building yourself out of a job for these guys, but trying to stay relevant as long as they possibly can. So I think that those consulting operations in that side of the world is just ripe for this kind of stuff. And McKinsey, for example, they grabbed some of the smartest people in the entire world out of the top performing schools, and pay them millions of dollars to come be a consultant, go into a firm and try and figure out, where's your dead weight, how to make money off of this, And just like rating agencies, it's just some person that's probably not the best at what they do. They might be super smart and everything, but that doesn't mean they know the detailed analysis of this specific company necessarily. And a lot of people have complained that, they've overpaid for some of this stuff. So to have an AI that can do it and probably do it 10 times better and not have any bias and obviously be a lot cheaper, makes a lot of sense. So, but then everybody does the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're in this industry, you ask AI, they ask AI, everybody.
Pretty soon you're all the same.
Yes. It tells them to do the exact same thing, right? Yes, exactly.
Now we go back to who can do it cheaper.
Yeah. Yep, and who can do it cheaper is just like any business. Somebody will undercut it and say, the AI will say, let's operate at a loss. It's the only way you're going to win the business, and then we'll, change it from there. Same with the AI companies are doing, right? They're charging us not much, and they're going to raise the prices here, I'm sure.
Yes. All right, ready for conspiracy theory?
Yeah. We got.
Yes. All right. I will run through this here. So, a few episodes ago-ish, talked about I didn't understand, and anybody that's on social media, you see these posts, and it's AI generated by a bot. It's just all AI, and they'll make a picture of something stupid that doesn't make sense, or they'll throw a picture of a hammer and go, "Hey, I found this in my grandfather's." It's all made up. I found this in my. What is this? And and then people start responding and whatnot. And I mentioned before, and then I'll go into the next part, but just for those that didn't hear me talk about it, is like I couldn't understand, why is this happening, right? And I talk I see it, and they'll do pictures, and they'll do engagements and try to get people to click, but there's no links. And I'm like, why are they? There's no click on this link. They're just trying to get people.
So on Reddit, there's a what is it? Subreddit that, hey, I found this in my son's closet. is he a drug addict or what is this? And
it's a picture of like a paperclip or something.
No, it's some contraption or something.
Yeah.
Someone come back and go, oh, that's used to fill helium balloons back in the 50s, and that's why it's tubed like that.
Yes.
Ha ha ha, or something crazy like that. So there are
those are the things happening, except it's not on Reddit. It's on like Facebook, for instance. So the ones I see all the time.
But they're not real.
Oh no, they're not even by people. They're bots.
How can you tell?
You look at the profiles.
Okay.
They just existed. They got, there's no history. They have no other posts that they've ever done. Like they made an account and all of a sudden they made a post about what's this hammer thing. I mean, anyway. So, so I couldn't figure out why this is happening. Okay. And then, by the way, there's also bots answering the bots.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay with me on this one. Here's where the conspiracy theory comes in. It was just announced by the Institute of Strategic something or other. So they are all about doing research about disinformation. Okay. So what they have found is there's 2 large coordinated bot networks, and they have over billions of views all over in all platforms. So basically they're making these little bots to just go out and control or narrate or push in certain information. So they have different accounts posting it. They have the same image by different ones. They get verified check marks. So maybe that's where the bot was mining Bitcoin because it needed to pay for these subscriptions to X account premium and all that sort of stuff. And it became, why are they doing this? So here's the conspiracy side. When they did so this was Meta, so this was Facebook. And from a couple years ago, the bots, when they did a survey, they found 90 accounts. This was back 2 years ago. And 85 were from China, 2 were Russia, and 3 were Iran. Okay? Of the 90, those were the 3 countries in that order. So then they started pursuing, okay, what is happening on social media? What are they doing? None of this makes sense, but what's happening? Why are they doing it? They're trying to figure out why are they doing this? About a hammer or a picture, like what is the point? What are you trying to do, 3 countries? So the layer that they're looking at is they're starting to fight a war that's not right now. Mm-hmm. They're trying to fight the future war. Mm-hmm. And when we look at the AI models, and it continues to be this way to this day, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, all of the large language models learn what the world thinks by reading what the internet says. I'm shortening this for our segment here. And so essentially these coordinated bots, pro-Iran, pro-China, pro-Pakistan narratives, they are going, and when they find posts, so they're finding the posts and they're pushing narratives and things about the topics. But to get in all the different algorithms to make sure the bots can see all of the different activity, they're trying to get you and me to engage, like, oh, that's a something hammer. Well, now we're in the bubble.
Yep.
And if we post something that's anti whatever their mission and directives are that they care about, they now can see it, and they can now start flooding that channel with all the other bots. It may not even be the one that saw it. It tells the other bots then join in, find it, and then they start posting their ideas. Like no, Iran war. No, we should never be in Iran. They don't have nuclear weapons. Whether it's true or not, that's just they're pushing their side of the narrative. So now the longer game is as these models and AI and things keep getting trained on what does the general population say, right? The average is more often correct than the few. All of a sudden, the narrative and information paradigm is shifting without even seeing that it's shifting. Because if 100 people out of 1 think one way, well, then that's probably the correct way. But those 100 out of to the 1 are bots from these other countries. Yeah. It is so that's my conspiracy theory thing for right there. That was like I'm looking at it.
That's not even much of a leap, really. Honestly, because this has been going on for years.
I couldn't figure out why, and I'm like, this makes complete sense now.
The data on manipulation is unbelievable.
It is.
They keep every time. I just saw one just the other day, and they're talking about 6-point swings in some of this manipulation. So, if you don't think you're being manipulated, you are the sucker at the table.
They're
right?
trying to get
So
you to fight them too, right? Like they want the engagement. You're fighting with no one. It's not even a human.
Yes. And think about just politically. Some of the things, it doesn't matter where you sit, but some of the things that you've defended because you saw some articles on this thing and then you realized later on it wasn't true about that individual, let's say, in particular. And a lot of times you just go, oh, well, just go on and keep, I'm like, but if you knew at the time, your brain would have thought differently. So you get sucked down that rabbit hole, and even if you go, say, 100%, and even if you back off a little bit, you're still there, right? That bias is still hitting us. So it's a huge problem.
So just ending that was just, it's another way that, so they say so in 2030, when everyone has AI everywhere, and they ask something like, who started the Iran war? The answer it gives will be dominated by what the internet had to say about it back in 2026. Yeah. And the narrative they're trying to push, it's just... This is insanity.
I will say this about this, and we get this all the time. How do you know what it's telling you is true, right?
Yeah.
And look, how do you know anything's true, right? I think, honestly, most subjects that are large enough, I can spend time on Google, old Google, and find the answer. I really believe that.
How do you know that's true? How do you know Columbus discovered? I read it in a book. I wasn't there.
But if you read enough things, right, and you find those right articles, and you get it, and so you can kind of get rid of all the BS, and you find, look, 1 million people say this, 2 people say this. I'm not going to waste time on this anymore. Why? And I've been fed these 2 and a whole bunch of other articles. If you go on and you really do your homework, I do think you can. Again, I'm not so naive that, I don't, it's stuff that was out there a long time ago. So AI is really smarter than us, right?
Yeah.
And if you dump a bunch of information tomorrow, and all these bots dump a bunch of information, and you say, look, it's going to be skewed by that information that was dumped, yesterday at 5 o'clock in the morning. No, it's not. It understands, hey, that was all dumped yesterday. I'm going to count old information stronger than this information. I'm going to count articles by this author from the 70s that I know wasn't manipulated, to a certain
It's going to have to go read the paper documents because the digital ones got manipulated.
Yeah, but it already has, right? And so it knows every trick that anybody's, because that was also out there, all the tricks that people have used, all the articles on all the things that have happened that have made us a little more educated here recently. I didn't know. I got snowed. Really? That really happened? Really? I went down that rabbit hole. I didn't, I got influenced by that. So I think AI is going to be really good at it. It's going to be smarter than us. It's going to say, how do you know that? It's going to be like, well, I looked at 9 billion different things, and this is why. And this guy was trying to manipulate this guy. Well, and here's the right answer with a 98.4% probability. Great. So I'm with you.
It's almost like its own field.
Right. And so you'll use AI to protect yourself from the other AIs, right? Even though
now the National Archivists, National Library of Congress, getting a copy of everything, every book, at the time it was published, it can't be manipulated. It's sitting on the shelf there becomes... Librarians, we need you more than ever. We need AI librarians. It's like a new field. Yeah. We got rid of the old one. We need a new one.
One of those flying along the books. Oh, I have that book.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
And then you're like, what is that? It's called a book.
And on that dystopian bombshell, thanks for joining us. I don't know if anybody will ever get to watch this, because who knows if we even get to if it decides we even get to exist and our YouTube is even published anymore. Exactly. It'll who's Anthony and Gary? I don't know who. On this bombshell, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you at the next one.